Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Diana and the Book Hunt. Today is the day that I'm going to wrap up the month of April. I unfortunately couldn't upload a recent reads video mid-month, so I'm going to talk about all of the books that I managed to finish in the month of April, which isn't a bad thing. I had a lot of 4-star and 5-star reads in the month of April. I'm not mad about it. I had a very fun time reading all of the books that I'm going to talk about today. So yeah, without further ado, let's just dive in because we have 18 books to discuss. The first book that I managed to finish within the month of April was by Whitney Dineen, and the book is called A Hate Like This. I think I was enticed to pick this book up because I saw that it's a single parent trope, and it's a single parent where we have a single mom. And I thought the cover was really cute. It's an illustrated cover. You're going to see it up here. And I don't know, I was just enticed to pick it up. And I saw that it had a very good rating on Goodreads as well. I think 4.3 or something like that. So I was like, okay, I need to pick this up. So the book is about a widowed heroine who has a couple of kids. She lives in this small town, I think in Alaska, and she owns a diner. And the thing is that when her husband unfortunately passed away, she didn't really have a very good relationship with him anymore. So I think that that is the reason why she kind of moved on with her life maybe quicker than what is expected of a widow. She's really focused on her kids and how she can run her business to be able to take care of her kids. And she's not really focused on love at all. And then we have our hero who is a lawyer in LA, I think, and he's always wanted to write a book, like a thriller that focuses on what he knows, like the justice system and some kind of like a suspenseful book. And he takes a sabbatical, like a time off for 6 months, I think, where he goes to Alaska because that's a place that was recommended to him. I think that this is actually a second book within a series. I didn't really check, but we find out that he's been to this place in Alaska before because he visited a friend of his who lives there. And this friend is actually a friend of our heroines. So they kind of have seen each other before, but they're not really friends, the two main characters. And when he goes to Alaska to write his book, he visits her diner the whole time and they have a lot of interactions, which blooms into friendship and eventually into lovers category. And while I did love the setting of the book, I love the hero within the book, I also did like the heroine within the book, but at some point there was a plot device within the book that I don't typically like. I don't want to mention it because I don't want to spoil the conflict within the book because it's what drives the book basically, but it's the kind of conflict that doesn't really sit well with me most of the times. So while I did enjoy most of the book, I didn't give it a full 4-star rating. I give it 3.5 stars, but it's definitely worth it if you like a small town setting, the Alaskan setting, because it's very beautiful. If you like very good banter between characters that involve the kids as well, it's a very good book to pick up. So this one is a 3.5 star for me. Now, the next one I actually discussed in a video that I recently posted. I'm going to link it up in the cards. It's my video where I discussed books that feature the foodie trope. The book is called Muscles and Monsters and it's by Ashley Bennett. This book I really enjoyed. I found that it was really cute and it dealt with tropes that can be hard-hitting, but in a very light way. I don't know, I just flew through the book. I found that the connection between the characters was really cute. We have our heroine Tegan, who is a baker. She makes wedding cakes, and at the start of the book she has had the biggest contract that she can sign. I think it's like the mayor's daughter who is getting married, and she's made this huge cake for the wedding party, and she's trying to carry this very heavy cake to her car to bring it to the party, and she drops part of it. So she's in a very unfortunate predicament, and we have our hero Atlas, who is kind of a he's a monster. He's like in a wolvish form, and he owns a gym, and he sees her and he helps her out, and they have this immediate connection together. She starts visiting his gym, and they just hit it off in the cutest possible way. They text each other, and they have this just very cute connection with each other. So I really, really enjoyed this one, and I gave it 4 stars. Now, the next one that I read is one that I didn't really remember that I have read before, but apparently I had. But I'm really happy that I picked it up again, because upon reread, I gave it actually the same rating. The book is called Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino. And the book centers on our heroine Emmeline and the hero Jace. Emmeline basically is, I think she's like a grad student, or she's kind of in her post-grad situation where she's in the university. She's trying to write a book, but isn't having any success with it. She's always wanted to write a book. And then one of her best friends recommends a book to her to pick up. And she picks it up, she starts reading it, and she finds out that the story that she's reading is her childhood story. Basically, she's reading about herself in this book, and she finds out that the person who wrote that book is her childhood best friend, whose name is Jace. And she's absolutely livid that he has written this book about her, and she is getting very slowly into reading the whole story from his perspective, obviously. And yeah, I found that it's such an amazing book, because we see how she's living in the modern time, like in the present time, and how she has some kind of a disconnection from her childhood best friend. She is mad at him about something. But then we read the chapters where he's describing their childhood story, and it's so amazingly endearing that you really root for her to just get on with the story and go and meet him finally, because he's going to be at this author signing, and her friend is encouraging her the whole time to finish the book so that they can go to the signing. And I really flew through this book. I really, really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. So next up, I picked up the second book within the Masters of Love series by Leisa Rayven. The first one was Mr. Romance. I love that one. I gave it 5 stars, and I was thinking, can the second one be better than this one, or at least equally as good as the first one? And I had my doubts about it. The second one is called Professor Feelgood, and it centers on the heroine of the first book, her sister, and her sister's name is Asha. She is like an editor at a publishing house, and she has been following this guy on Instagram for a while, where his profile shows amazing pictures of himself, but never with his face on the pictures. She sees his body, he's gorgeous, and always in the captions he's writing these beautiful poems, and she feels absolutely captivated by what he's writing. She's very much looking forward to every single post that he makes. And after having read so many poems by him, she decides to send him a message and say something like, look, you're really good at writing, and I think that with the following that you've gathered on Instagram, you're going to have a very good shot at selling a book. So if you're interested in a book deal, reach out to me, and then we can make it happen. So yeah, she pitches this idea to her, to the publishing house, and they're like, this sounds really good, and this can be the scoop that we need. So the kind of a debut star, breakout star that we can use to gain more publicity. So yeah, they're really looking forward to sign him. But when she finds out who it is, she is not very looking forward to working with him. And one of the things that he agrees to sign with the publishing house, but one of the things that he has demanded is that she is his editor, meaning that they have to spend time together to actually write that book. So yeah, she finds out that it's actually her childhood friend. His name is Jake. That is Professor Feelgood on Instagram. And yeah, they have to sit down and talk through whatever has happened in the past that has made them drift apart. And there is just such amazing backstory to this story. There's a lot of pining. There's the always been you trope. There is forced proximity. And obviously, there's like the childhood friends to enemies to lovers trope that I absolutely love within such stories. And yeah, I really, really love this one. And I honestly cannot tell you which one of the two is my favorite. I really love this one, but I really love the first one as well. They're both written so well. And those swoony kind of quotes that we look forward to hear from our men are present in this book as well. So yeah, I absolutely loved it and I give it 5 stars. Next up, I picked up a new release by Claire Contreras. I have to say that with Claire Contreras, I have a very much of a hit and miss relationship. I've liked some of her books, but some of her books have been real misses for me. It's just that this one just recently released and I saw the kind of the first reviews that I saw of it were really raving about the book, especially because it involves a romantic suspense element within the story. So I decided to pick it up. The book is called Until I Get You, and it centers on our hero and heroine, Lachlan and Lila, who they meet up in college. He's a promising kind of an NHL star, so a hockey player who is going to go into the NHL. And she's a student at the same university where he's at. At the start, she's kind of reluctant about starting a relationship with him, so she's not really prepared to go into a relationship with someone who is going to have the spotlight on them. But at the same time, she just cannot fight her attraction for him anymore. So she kind of caves to the attraction and they start up a relationship together. But then something happens that makes Lila leave very abruptly. And Lachlan is absolutely devastated and flabbergasted by whatever has happened and that he has lost her and that he doesn't have any way to find her and understand what has happened. So a couple of years fast forward, I think 3 or 4 years later, he manages to find her. He already has a career in hockey and yeah, he goes over to her and he demands that she returns to him, and he has his reasoning for, I think they have like a fake engagement going on when she returns to him, and it's kind of like he wants to punish her for leaving him. So the thing is, within this story, the romantic suspense situation was, I think, what was the driving force within the story, which was a good kind of driving force. But at the same time, I had a very big issue with the way that the hero was behaving. I do like an obsessed hero. I like a pining hero. I like a hero who is very much into the heroine and just doesn't see anyone else existing for him. But at the same time, there is a very fine line between that and a hero who kind of becomes like a Neanderthal, you know, like someone who is so obsessive and possessive over the heroine that it kind of becomes annoying, that it becomes kind of unfortunate almost in certain situations. This guy, he was mouthing off every single man who talked to the heroine, and at certain points he was even kind of questioning the way that the heroine was communicating with, just normally communicating with other people, because he was so jealous and possessive. And I'm like, okay, this is going just a tad too far for me. I mean, I like my heroes jealous and possessive, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to just having a simple conversation with the person that you've known for maybe like 20 years, and the person next to you is like, why do you talk to this person? I'm like, dude, you're not the only person alive in my life. I still need to communicate with my other people, you know, the other people in my life. So I was kind of like really offended on the heroine's behalf. So this is really what triggered me to give this book 2 stars. I do know that a lot of people like it because of the romantic suspense and the way that there is really a very big connection between the hero and heroine, but just the hero did not work for me at all in this instance. So my opinion is that this book wasn't for me. Please check it out. It might be for you, but for me, it was just a no-no. So I was very happy to see that Storytel has uploaded one of the later releases. It's not really a later release anymore, but for me it's a later release by Elizabeth O'Rourke. The book is called The Deal with the Devil. It's the first book within a series that is like a devil something series. But this book is one that I really genuinely enjoyed very much, especially because it deals with a hero who has a profession that I would like to read more about, to be quite frank. The book is about Tally and Hayes. Tally is in a bit of a financial pickle. She needs to improve her financial situation, and her best friend Jonathan, who works with Hayes, he's Hayes' personal assistant. He needs to go away for a couple of weeks for a personal reason, and he offers Tally her to replace him, basically, to be his personal assistant. Hayes is a plastic surgeon, and he's a bit of a playboy. He kind of has a reputation for not being very settled when it comes to women. And they have a very much a hate-hate relationship at the start of the book. So she dislikes him, he despises her for specific reasons, or it looks like he despises her. And then when they start working together, they see different sides of each other, and they provoke each other with a lot of banter, which I absolutely loved. And we have a genuine like enemies to lovers situation going on here that is done really well. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars and I definitely recommend it. So there has been a lot of buzz going on around an author called Avery Keelan. I think a book that is a hockey romance, if I'm not mistaken, the book is called Offside, has been recommended overall on Bookstagram and on Booktube as well lately, but I don't have that one available to me yet on Storytel. So when I checked out her backlist, whether anything is available to me on audio, I saw that there is a book called Otherwise Engaged that is available on Storytel, so I decided to pick it up to see whether I like the writing style of this author, and I was pleasantly surprised. We have a childhood friends to enemies to fake engagement with benefits to lovers situation. It's a bit of a long entry into the relationship, but yeah, it was a very banter-filled book. So very much like the Elizabeth O'Rourke situation or the book and the plot, when we have an enemies to lovers or some kind of a benefit situation going on, there's always bound to be a lot of banter, and I'm here for it. I absolutely love it when there is like this push and pull and this kind of like little jabs that the hero and heroine make towards each other, and that they provoke each other to get a rise out of the other person. I absolutely love that. So within this book, we have that a lot. We have our hero Bennett and our heroine Thayer. This is a very difficult name for me to pronounce. Thayer, I think it's called. So they have this situation where they've had a falling out as, I think, as children or teenagers, and they don't really like each other very much. But in present times, she has this situation where she needs to go to a party, and her family, I think, is trying to set her up with different people. She doesn't want to have a pity date to this party, so she makes up that she has a boyfriend. So she needs to have a boyfriend with her to this party. And at the same time, Bennett, he is in a position within the company where he works where he needs to kind of rehabilitate his image. So he needs someone at his side to kind of help with that. So he proposes to Thayer to have a mutually beneficial agreement where they have a fake engagement going on for his benefit with the company and her benefit with her family. And they both agree to it, but there's just so many amazing situations going on because of the way that they have this banter together, that it had me just enjoying to the max all the situations and the just the back and forth between the two of them the whole time. So yeah, I really like this one. I gave it 4 stars. Next up, I picked up another hockey romance that is part of a series. It's the first book within the series that is written by an author duo. It's FInley and Saxon James, and the first book is called Egotistical Bug Boy. We have 2 guys who are part of rival teams, Ezra and Anton, and they are both on rival teams. They know of each other in terms of, you know, they've played against each other, and Ezra is very much an out and proud gay man, while Anton, people know that he is gay, but he doesn't really kind of promote it in the media. So yeah, they're very much opposites in that respect. Like Ezra is very much a playboy and kind of really flashy with the way that he is as a player and as like an off-field player. And Anton is exactly the opposite. He wants to keep his private life private. He's very focused on his career and doesn't want to have any media attention on him. But then Anton gets moved or traded to Ezra's team, so they become teammates and they have an immediate attraction together. They actually had a wild night before they became teammates, and there is just a lot of tension between the two of them that makes for a very spicy story, to be quite frank. And I really enjoyed this one. I was thinking whether I should give it 3.5 or 4 stars, but really the connection between the two of them was so strong that I absolutely love this one. So I definitely think that it deserves 4 stars. I'm very happy to say that Storytel has uploaded the latest release within the Bergman Brothers series by Chloe Liese. It's Ziggy's story and it's called If Only You. We have Ziggy, who is the youngest sibling within the Bergman brother world. She is the second girl besides Freya, I think her name was, the older sister. And she really has the reputation of the baby of, you know, of all the siblings. So she feels like she isn't really taken seriously by her family. And because she has had kind of a situation when she was a teenager where she wasn't yet diagnosed with autism, and she also was kind of bullied about certain things within her life, I think that everyone was kind of protective over her, so she felt like she was not taken seriously and really not regarded with the same respect as everyone else. So if there is something that is going on, everyone was trying to hide it from her and not really let her know that she can participate within her family situation because they thought that she's too young. But she's already in her 20s and she just wants to break out of that role. She wants to be very much a participant within her family's situations. So yeah, she wants to do something about this situation. And this is where the hero comes in. The hero is actually Ren, one of her older brothers' best friend and also teammate within his hockey team. His name is Sebastian and he's very much a playboy. He again needs to have his image rehabilitated a little bit, and she's very much a goody two-shoes in the media world because she's a soccer player as well. So they decide to again have a mutual kind of benefit situation going on where they're presented as friends together in front of the media and their family, but at the same time, obviously situations occur between them because they spend so much time together. They spend a lot of time talking about their situations, which I absolutely love because we really find out Sebastian's backstory within this story of why he has become this playboy, and that he has some health issues of his own, and how they can really stand up for themselves and try to be viewed by everyone for who they are and not who they're presented to be. So I really like this story. It was another Bergman brother gem that Chloe Leese has thought of and written. So I definitely enjoyed being part of that world again, and I gave this book 4 stars. Next up, I'm going to talk about a book by an author that I've heard Caitlin from the Love Librarian talk about a lot. The book is called Lucky Hit, and the author is called Hannah Cowan. This book I unfortunately didn't love, and it's not the writing that really didn't work for me, but it's more the tropes within the book. There is unfortunately a trope that I really don't love within stories. The trope is insta-love. Within this one, it's a hockey romance, by the way. Within this one, we have a situation where the hero and heroine basically get together already at like the 10% mark within the book. So for me to go through the story and kind of, I just don't get it. I don't get it when people have this insta-love connection going on, and it just doesn't work for me. It already, from the start, makes it a very kind of a unbelievable premise, and especially because I think I read this one like halfway through the month. I don't even really remember the plot devices or the conflicts within the book, which is not saying a lot about the book for me, at least. So yeah, I gave this one 2.5 to 3 stars, and I do want to pick up more by this author because I know that Caitlin loves her and her other work, so I definitely look forward to reading more to kind of make up my mind better about this one. Next up, I have a story that I'm so conflicted about. I'm going to tell you all about it because I just need to get it off my chest. The book is called Takeoff by Evelyn Sola, and it features a lot of elements that I absolutely love within a story. Like, if there is one thing that I could remove from the story, if I could remove that element, then it would have been a 5-star read, even maybe like a favorite within the year. It would have been in my like top 20 of the year. But unfortunately, there is something within this book that really doesn't work for me. Let me tell you what the book is about. We have, within the tropes, we have single dad, a basketball player, and a reluctant heroine. The heroine is Vicky, who kind of doesn't want to be in a committed relationship. She wants to hook up. She wants to be an independent, free woman who can just date around and enjoy her life and her body, which is absolutely fine, and all the power to her. I don't mind that within the story. And then we have Colt, who is a famous basketball player, and he's also a single dad. He meets Vicky in this club because of mutual friends, and he's immediately captivated by her. He's very much attracted to her and wants to date her. But there's a lot that is kind of working against him because Vicky is very set on certain kind of rules that she has made for herself. First of all, she doesn't want to date athletes, and he's a basketball player. She doesn't want to date anyone famous, which he is. She doesn't date dads, so people with children. And she's all about black love, so she wants to date someone who is African American or just not white, and he is white. So yeah, he has a lot going against him, but at the same time she does feel an attraction with him. So he very much is very persistent. He is chasing her, and really she's very reluctant, but he doesn't give up. And I absolutely love that about the story, that he was very much set on the fact that he appreciates not only the attraction, but later on also her sense of humor, her very strong and independent character. So we really, in the story, we see how he falls for her as a person and how she starts to appreciate him as a person as well, and how all of her preconceived notions are being kind of thrown out of the window because of the way that he is an amazing person. So yeah, all of the little rules that she makes for herself are being broken one by one. But then that thing happens that I really, really don't like within books. And that is when someone makes a mistake, like a character does something that the heroine in this case doesn't like. She writes him off completely. She's like, I'm giving you only one shot at this, and if you're not going to take it well, then you're just off the list, that I'm going to find myself someone else. You're not worth it for me if you don't get it right the first time. And I'm like, who gets it right the first time around, right? Who is this perfect person who's not going to make any mistakes and get you all the things that you want and kind of be Mr. Perfect for you? I mean, this person doesn't exist. Everyone has problems within their life and conflicts and baggage and pasts and also present situations that they take with them into a relationship, and you can't just expect someone to just get it right the first time around. And when he made a certain mistake, he was groveling and he was trying to communicate with her, trying to get back with her, and she was like, I told you, it's a one-time thing, and if you don't get it right, then it's all over. And I really don't like that. I really, really don't like that. And I'm really wondering what to rate this book. I think on Goodreads I gave it 3 stars because of what happened in the end, but genuinely, I absolutely love the hero. He was so logical with the way that he communicated with her and really telling her, like, look, I really have feelings for you and we can work through whatever happened, but you have to give me a chance. I'm not perfect. I need to work on myself. I admit that. I mean, which man says that? So many men have difficulty with admitting when they're wrong, with admitting that they need to work on themselves and actually putting in the work. And this man is there just laying everything in front of her like, I'm here for it. I want to make this work. And she's like, I told you. Like, and I was like, no, please don't say that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with the 3.5 star rating. If this wasn't present within the book, it would have been a 5-star read. I'm going to be very honest. But yeah, I just don't like that within books. So I'm going to stick with the 3-star rating for this one. Next up, I read an Olivia Hayle book. I read another book by this author a couple of months ago and I really, really liked it. So I've decided to read more by this author. I read $1 Billion Catch by Olivia Hayle and I gave that one 3 stars. Here again, we have a situation where if a trope wasn't present within this book, it would have been a 5-star read, but unfortunately this trope kind of lowered the rating for me. And the trope is secret keeping. Within the story, we have a single dad who lives in this beautiful neighborhood, and he has a neighboring house where the couple that lives there is going to go on a long vacation for like 2 or 3 months. And they hire a house sitter, and the house sitter is the love interest within the book. Her name is Bella, his name is Ethan, and basically they meet each other, they immediately have an attraction together, they have amazing situations going on with herself, showing him how to bake things and to cook things together with his children, and they have amazing connection with the children together as well. But then there's the secret keeping situation that happens within the book that was so unnecessary if you ask me, but it happens, so it really very much influences how the story goes. So yeah, I give that one 3 stars. It's not a secret, on my channel I've talked a lot about how Jewel E. Ann is one of my favorite authors, and I'm slowly but surely working through her backlist to read all of the stories that she has ever written. And I've read a duet this month or past month that I hadn't read yet. The first one is called Pieces of a Life. The second one is called Memories of a Life. And it's a romantic suspense contemporary novel with a paranormal element thrown into it. It's a very weird, very intriguing story that really had me on high alert, with kind of contributing a lot of anxiety to my life while I was reading it, because you just want to know what will happen and how the situation will resolve itself. I don't want to honestly dive into the synopsis of the book, because I believe that this duet really needs to be read without knowing anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know that there was a paranormal element within the story, and I think I preferred it that way, because when you have a romantic suspense or you have some kind of like a thriller setting going on, it's better not to know what is going on, because otherwise you can ruin the plot twist for yourself and then it becomes kind of boring. So I'm just not going to dive into the synopsis. I can only tell you that I was really kind of waiting with a bated breath, like, what is going to happen here? How is this ever going to get solved in the end? So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I think I've been talking for forever, but I still have to cover the series that I finished. It's a romance fantasy series that I've been seeing everywhere in the past couple of months on Bookstagram and Booktube as well. It's by Carissa Broadbent, and the first book is called Daughter of No Worlds. The second one is called Children of Fallen Gods, and the third one is called Mother of Death and Dawn. And I have to say that I really, really loved this fantasy series, because I'm very much a newbie fantasy reader. So romance fantasy, I have to say romantic fantasy, romantasy, I don't know how you want to call it, but I am very much intimidated a lot by kind of difficult world building or difficult kind of magical systems. So if we have a plot where there's a lot of world building or difficult magic systems, I get intimidated and I don't tend to enjoy the plot as much or the character development as much, because I'm so focused on understanding what is going on that I don't appreciate the story as much. But I appreciate so much that this author has very much a laid-back approach to world building as well as the magic system, and is focusing really on the relationships between and really the plot within the story. We have our heroine Tizana, who is at the start of the story in the first book. She is being bought as a slave girl. She has a very interesting magic ability that she develops throughout the start of the book. She is developing it, so she's learning how to use it. And basically she's being promised that if she saves up a certain amount of like gold coins, that she can buy her freedom. And when she becomes like, I think 18, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 16 or 18, she has saved up enough money to buy her freedom. She tries it out, so she goes to her slave driver and says, you know, we made this agreement and here is the money, now can I be free? And obviously it doesn't really work that way. So when she tries to buy her freedom, not everything goes as planned, and she does gain her freedom in a different way. Let me put it like that, because I don't want to spoil the plot for you. Now, when she has gained her freedom, she flees to a certain place where she has decided that she needs some assistance to get into this kind of, let's say, like an army that will help her get back to the place where she was, to help out the other slaves, to kind of help them free themselves as well, because she has promised them to come back and to try and free them as well. And this is where she meets the love interest within the story. His name is Max, and he has been tasked by this, let's call it army, because I don't know what they call it in the book anymore, like an order or something, to guide her through how she can pass the test to get into this order. So basically he's like a teacher to her, and he's very much reluctant to be her teacher. So at the start of their relationship, we really have a situation of a reluctant hero, an eager heroine. She really wants to learn to use her magic and to have abilities and to be the strong, independent person that she can be to help out others. And we also have a language barrier that I absolutely love within the story, in the first book especially. And then within the second book, besides their romance, we have a secondary romance that goes on, but I don't want to mention anything about that one because it's already in the second book. I don't want to spoil anything for you. I just want to mention that there is a secondary romance plot that really tugs on your heartstrings when you find that out, when you kind of follow through their story as well. So to be quite frank, I think the first book is like 500 something pages. The second book is like 650 pages. The third book is also 600 plus pages. I didn't even notice that. I was so kind of entranced within this world. I dove in and I wanted to stay within that world. I wanted to find out what happens. I wanted to see how because there is kind of a war going on between the humans and the Fae within this world. I wanted to see how that would work itself out, and whether there's going to be a winner and a loser, or whether there's going to be harmony in the end. I was captivated by this story. So I absolutely love that I finished this month off with this series. The first book I gave 4 stars, the second book I gave 5 stars, and the third book I gave 5 stars as well. And I actually saw that Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life, she absolutely loved this series as well. I think I was kind of influenced by her to pick these up, but just seeing that so many people are picking up Carissa Broadbent's also other series, and a lot of people are noticing her works, and I absolutely love that because she is a tremendous writer, and I'm definitely going to pick up the other series as well. And I definitely recommend this one. A lot of people are comparing this one to the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. I wouldn't say that it's the same kind of story, to be quite frank. It's also not as spicy as the ACOTAR series, but I think it's a more romantic kind of a read. So if you do like the ACOTAR series, you're probably going to love this one as well. Just bear in mind that this is really more focusing on the romance and not so much on the spice. These were all the books that I managed to finish within the month of April. It's been a long wrap up. I really am going to focus on splitting them up in the next months as much as I can, because I think I have no voice left to speak anymore. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know if you have read any of the books that I managed to read this month and whether you enjoyed them. Also, let me know which ones were your favorites of this month that you were able to pick up. And I hope to see you very soon in the next one. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Happy reading. Take care, and bye-bye.